right, so let's move on to other cringy moments. Grazia Daly is asking if it's ever okay to discipline someone else's kid.
There's a couple.
This is gonna be hot. All right, so where do you stand on this, ladies?
I mean, I definitely have a very good friend of mine. One of her sons is notoriously kind of rude, right? He just blurts out things like if he's at the house, we'll say things like, yeah, give me water, like I'm thirsty. And I'll just be like, okay, please. Like that's the way that I kind of like insert that, but I wouldn't do much beyond that. But what's interesting to think about is how easily I feel like our parents and our parents' friends disciplined us.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
So the question is, what has changed? What has
The village.
changed?
The village has disappeared.
The
When
kids
we
are
were
in
growing
charge.
up,
Kids are in charge.
When we were growing up, the village, the proverbial village that we talk about all the time, we know it's disappeared. The village was any other adult. It was fair game for them to discipline you. It could be a stranger that owns the corner store. It could be the neighbor. Anyone down the street. You always knew. Look out for the adults. Now it's the opposite, and I think there's a lot of things that have shifted. But one of the things is some parents, and I don't want to judge parents. Parenting is hard, guys, so I don't want to sound like I'm judging. But the era of discipline and consequence has now swung to 0 disciplines and 0 consequences. And I think what you're creating now is that child that has 0 respect, not just for other adults, for any other person. So I would like the village to come back. I really would.
It's interesting that you say you want the village to come back. I don't think the village is gonna come back because I really see that this is a time where the children are really in charge. But I have a lot of friends who are coaches of little leagues and all these different things with kids and teachers. And it's very interesting. A lot of them are being approached by the parents of these young kids saying, hey, can you please tell my child to do their homework or to do such and such? Because they don't listen to me. They don't listen to me, but they listen to you. So can you do that for me?
On a few little tasks.
So that, I see that happening. A lot of my friends tell me those stories, but I also feel like I would never, ever, ever do this for the number one reason.
But don't you fantasize about it?
Oh.
Like, that's what I do. I'm like, here's what I'd say.
No.
With adults and kids.
Yeah, there's so many times where, I know, that moment where you're just like, you want to see a
You're
kid and
walking
just
down the street being, and then I would
melt the words, just be like, sit down and close
Ryan
your
has
mouth.
done that on a flight. When a kid has been kicking the seat, kicking,
And you'll say something.
and he will stand up. He's 6'3", and he stands up and he looks over at the kid and says, "Don't kick my seat." And you got to see, this happened recently on a flight, and
what
I
did the
thought,
parents
I
say?
said, "Oh my God, Ryan, you're gonna," and the mother was like, "See, I told you."
Oh, that's good. That's a good moment.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
It depends on the parent, because I feel like the reason why I'm not, like, I had a cousin who actually told me I had carte blanche to hit her children if they were out of line.
Okay.
I would never do that. First of all, because those kids were so well behaved. Secondly, I didn't grow up like that. I grew up with the opposite, where if you breathed on me in the wrong way, my mother would rain down on you in a way that you wish you'd never, ever, ever met me. So Ryan doing that, it's like, you catch the wrong mama, and that's a whole different situation.
But if she was parenting her kid, he wouldn't have had to parent the kid.
Exactly.
And I think as parents, we're afraid. Listen, I'm making a very general statement, right? Very general. We know how our parenting is hard. And I'm not saying that corporal punishment should come back. I think a lot of us were raised with corporal punishment. I was. And I'm not saying that should come back, but I also think that to be afraid of your own child is a subversion of the natural order of parenting.
I don't think it's for sure, but I don't think it's always fear. I do think we can't underestimate how different the world is nowadays. Like, and I think that there's a whole bunch of reasons why kids are afraid, or why parents are afraid to discipline other children. We don't trust other parents. I wouldn't necessarily trust all parents to intervene. Would you guys? Like, do you think that every parent thinks the same way? Like,
when you were talking about the village, that sort of struck a chord, because I remember being 5 years old, and do you remember the AMP? And do you remember how they had those rolly bars? Because you would have a thing filled with groceries, and then you'd pull up your car, and the thing would get put into the trunk. I remember just going up and down and going like this on the rolly things. It was so much fun. And an AMP employee came up to me. I just remember him dressed all in white, and maybe some stains on the cover, like he worked in the butcher shop. And he looked down at me and he said, "If you keep doing that, you're never going to see your parents again." Yes, you stop doing the roller game.
Wow.
We just need the neighborhood butcher, right? I ain't mad at that. I'm sorry if you have to go to therapy, but I ain't mad at that.
Okay.
You'll never see them again.
there. What did you think? Drop your comments below and join the conversation. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can find more on everything from food and fashion to pop culture and current events. See you soon.